Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission's weekly business meeting. Please join me for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Before we get started, I want to take a roll call to make sure we know who we have present with us. District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams is present virtually.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Belzer is present in the hearing room.
Commissioner Caston.
Present in the hearing room.
Commissioner Urban.
Virtually due to COVID-19.
Commissioner Thomas.
Present in the hearing room.
Commissioner Powers.
Present in the hearing room.
And Chairman Williams is present in the hearing room. All right. Attorney Minges, would you please read the docket? Read the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. For our first item of business, staff proposes that our next commission business meeting be held at the call of the chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have one item on our supplemental agenda. It's docket number 2020-125E. This matter concerns correspondence regarding public night hearing testimony.
All right, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chair Belzer for her to chair this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a motion?
Chairman Belzer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the South Carolina Public Service Commission is preparing for a rate case hearing in January. The docket number is 2020-125E. It's Dominion Energy, South Carolina's application for adjustment of rates and charges. As the initiated know, whenever a utility requests a rate increase, the Public Service Commission schedules public hearings, usually they're night hearings, to allow the public the opportunity to present any issues, matters, and concerns to the Commission. Approximately a month and a half ago, the Commission directed that Commission staff identify locations in Aiken County, Charleston area, and the Columbia-Lexington area for in-person hearings that could take place in a safe manner due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The staff did exactly what the Commission directed them to do, and they did an excellent job identifying locations in the event that the Commission decided to have in-person hearings. The Commission didn't make a decision at that time and still hasn't made a decision regarding hosting in-person hearings. What the Commission did do was offer the public the opportunity to request an in-person hearing and put a deadline of October 30th to make those requests if any member of the public were interested. To my knowledge, the Public Service Commission did not receive any requests for an in-person night hearing. However, what we did receive through the Governor's office, then through the Office of Regulatory Staff, was a request from a Miss Vivian Lang. And just for edification of all listening, I'm going to read what she sent first to the South Carolina Governor's office, who, from my understanding, sent the request to the Office of Regulatory Staff, and then the Office of Regulatory Staff sent the request to the Public Service Commission. And Ms. Lang sent an email dated October 20th, 2020, time 4:54 p.m. And the email reads as follows. I have received notice of a virtual public night hearing. On August 14th, 2020, Dominion Energy filed an application with the Public Service Commission requesting certain proposed adjustments, changes, and increases in its rates and charges and tariffs for retail electric service with an effective filing date of August 15th, 2020. Dominion Energy, having full knowledge of the COVID pandemic, filed for public hearing, knowing full well that this would limit the number of people who would object to this increase of $178 million. Due to the COVID pandemic, many of my neighbors lost their jobs and had to reduce their expenses, and internet service were one of many non-essential services that had to go. Others, like myself, still have internet but are not equipped to attend the hearing because we do not have the camera and mic required. I regularly attend public hearings in person. I think this virtual hearing gives Dominion Energy an unfair advantage, and I want it postponed until a regular public hearing can be held. COVID has stopped people from working and put unfortunate stresses on the public. If the corporation needs to have, and I'm paraphrasing here so this can read a little bit better, the corporation needs to follow the same rules as the public and wait for regular service to resume before a public hearing can be held. I'm asking that the governor's office require Dominion Energy to postpone this hearing until it can be held in a public forum. A virtual hearing is not in the interest or fair to the public. And this email is available under Dominion's rate increase docket, so you can read it verbatim. So there's a couple of things I want to bring to the Commission's attention about this letter. First and foremost, I don't think that this letter is a request for a virtual hearing. Or excuse me, I don't think it's a request for an in-person hearing. The way I read this letter is a request to the South Carolina Governor's Office to have Dominion Energy's rate hearing postponed. The Commission does not have the ability to order Dominion to postpone their rate case. The rate case will go forward on January 5th, 2021. So the question becomes whether or not Ms. Lang wants to request a in-person public hearing. As I said earlier, the Commission staff has already identified a location in her area to host a public hearing. More likely than not, this hearing will take place sometime in December. We don't know what the pandemic will look like at that time. There's just a lot of unknowns and uncertainty surrounding these times in general. But in an abundance of caution and to be as prepared as possible to allow the public the opportunity to make their voices heard, there is a location that we've identified. But I want to make sure that the Commission understands Ms. Lang's request clearly and give her the opportunity to make a request for an in-person hearing in December if that's what she wants. Now, Ms. Lang may be listening to this, and so there's a few other things I want to address in her letter. She addresses the fact that she has internet but doesn't have a microphone or a camera. Therefore, she would not be able to participate in the virtual hearing. Now, my understanding is that is just not true. If she has a landline or a cell phone, she can call into a number and make her voice heard to the Public Service Commission during the virtual hearing. Not only could Ms. Lang do that, but others in her community could do the same. I note that the Commission has already scheduled and noticed 3 public virtual night hearings for November the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th. At this moment, 59 members of the community have pre-registered for the night hearing, virtual night hearing on the 9th, 31 for the virtual night hearing on the 10th, and 39 for the virtual night hearing on the 12th. So there are members of the community who have received notice of the virtual public night hearings and do plan to participate. I request that Ms. Lang at least look into that option because she may not be aware of the option of calling in as opposed to using a computer with a camera and a microphone. Look into calling in using the public dial number, the public phone number, to call in and participate in the hearing. And if she has questions about that, we welcome her to contact the Commission in the appropriate manner to go through how that needs to work. see here. I think it's inappropriate for the commission to address whether or not a public night hearing, an in-person public night hearing needs to happen at this time, considering a request for such has not been made. And if and when Ms. Lang decides to contact the commission, I think that the commission should take that matter up at that time. Madam Vice Chair, my motion is that the commission direct commission staff to email Ms. Lang requesting that she clarify her email dated October 20th, 2020 to the South Carolina Governor's Office to clarify whether or not she wants a in-person public night hearing before the Dominion rate case is scheduled to go forward on January 5th, 2020. And if so, she communicate the same to the commission no later than November 11th, 2020. That's my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, you've heard the motion from Chairman Williams. Is there any discussion?
Chairman Belzer?
Commissioner Williams?
Chairman Williams, does that motion commit to a night hearing? To commit to an in-person hearing if she requests it?
No, ma'am, it does not. So, what's a little strange about this request, Commissioner Williams, in my opinion, is that it wasn't made directly to the Public Service Commission. This was a request, and it wasn't a request for an in-person night hearing. This was a request for the Dominion rate case to be postponed by the governor until the hearing can take place in a public forum. Now, arguably, Ms. Lane could be talking about the actual hearing, which in normal circumstances would happen right here at the commission with the open courtroom and the general public could attend. She could be referencing that hearing. She also could be referencing the public hearings where we hear general comments from the public. It's just hard to tell. And so my position is until we know what Ms. Lang is requesting, we can't, with any degree of certainty, without conjecture or surmise, discuss whether or not we should go forward with an in-person public night hearing, especially considering that it is November the 4th and no one has contacted the commission about in regards to a public night hearing, in-person public night hearing. And you could argue that this request is not a request for an in-person public night hearing. So until we get that request, and let me say this, I take the position that because the deadline has passed, the only reason to give Ms. Lang this consideration is because her email is dated October 20th, 2020. So in essence, her request has been told, if you will, since she put it in before our deadline. I would take the position that it would be the commission would be violating its own deadline if it were to open this up for more requests. So this is a request specifically allowed to Ms. Lang, or opportunity, I should say, allowed to Ms. Lang based on her email she sent on October 20th, 2020. And so the way I see this working, if Ms. Lang communicates to the commission that she wants an in-person public hearing, obviously we would have to have time to give proper notice, and that's 30 days, right, to the parties. And so, even if she did it today, we're looking at sometime in, if she made it clear she wanted a public night hearing today and we decided on it today or decided on it next week, we're still looking at sometime in December. And, I believe people should make decisions with all the facts. She may not know that. And so the question becomes, is that her intent to have a in-person public night hearing in December during the middle of a pandemic and flu season? Maybe it is, we don't know. So we should give, in my opinion, we should give her the opportunity to clarify her request and then make a decision from there.
But just for clarification again, this commission is not committing to, should she request it, holding a night hearing in December during a pandemic and during flu season at this point. We'll consider that later.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? We'll proceed to a vote, and we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Williams from District 1.
Williams votes aye.
District 3, Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
District 6, Chairman Williams.
Aye.
District 7, Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And Commissioner Belser votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the ayes have it. The motion passes, and Mr. Chairman, I'll return the gavel to you at this time.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belzer. Attorney Minges, would you please read the next agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, turning to our utilities agenda, items 1 through 7 are name changes regarding telecommunications companies in the following dockets. It's docket numbers 1997-207C and 2001-113C, 1994-424C, 1995-1052C, 1999-419C, 1988-627C, and 1997-468C, 1995-1208C, and 1996-314C, and last, 1997-300C.
All right, is there a motion? Commissioner Powers, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the name changes requested in items 1 through 7 as listed by Mr. Mingus be granted.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Powers. Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Williams votes aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Attorney Minges, please read the next agenda item.
Chairman, item number 8, docket number 2009-380C, we have a request for a name change.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas, the floor is yours, sir.
I move that the commission approve the requested name change of Velocity, the greatest phone company ever incorporated, on its certification to the name of Velocity, a managed services company, Inc. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Williams votes aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please read the next agenda item.
Item number 9, docket number 1985-150C, we have a request to cancel a payphone certificate.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Commissioner Thomas, the floor is yours, sir.
I move that we grant the request of Southeastern Telephone Communications Incorporated to cancel its payphone certificate. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Williams votes aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please call the next agenda item.
Item number 10, docket number 2020-208C, we have a request for expedited review and a request to expand lifetime eligible telecommunications carrier authority.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Williams, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I move that the request of the Palmetto Telephone Communications LLC for expedited review be granted, as well as its request for expansion of its ETC Lifeline authority to include the St. George Community Exchange. I also move that the hearing scheduled for November 24th, 2020 be canceled. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Hearing Commissioner Williams's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please read the next agenda item.
Item number 11, docket number 2020-205C. This matter concerns the joint application for merger of Chesney Long Distance Incorporated into Chesney Cable Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin, the floor is yours, sir.
thank you. I move the applicant's motion for expedited review be granted and that the merger of Chesney LD into Chesney Cable be approved, along with the continuation of alternative regulation and the transfer of the certificate of public convenience and necessity owned by Chesney LD to Chesney Cable also be approved. I further move that the hearing scheduled for November the 24th, 2020 be canceled. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Williams votes aye.
Vice Chairman Belzer, excuse me.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Chairman, item number 12. It's docket number 2006-244G. This matter concerns new natural gas construction.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that the commission instruct the clerk's office to set a notice of generic proceeding to address the notices of Dominion Energy South Carolina filed during calendar year 2020. The generic proceeding will allow the company an opportunity to provide additional details regarding its notice construction projects. It will also allow commissioners the opportunity to ask questions of the company regarding these construction projects.
Thank you, Commissioner Powers. Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Belzer, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, the filing of these notices is required by Commission Regulation 103-412.2, I think, .7 or something. And under that regulation, these gas utilities are required to file notices where construction exceeds $500,000, I think it is, and or something like 12,000 feet of pipe. And that's all that's required under the regs. Now, I recognize that as far as the commission goes, we're all pretty new on the commission, and I know that we're all eager to learn more, and so I'm not going to vote against the motion. I'm going to support the motion, but I think just want to acknowledge that we're all trying to understand how a lot of these different things that the utilities do interact and the information that's provided. And I also think that it's a good time for us to look at the types of reports that the utilities are required to file so that we can determine whether or not whether the reports are actually needed. If they're needed, are they providing the correct information? If we aren't getting all the information we need? Do we need to seek amendments to the regulations to get the information that we may need? So, I'm gonna support the motion for the generic proceeding, and it's, at this point, I just wanted it to be clear, we're not approving, any kind of construction projects. We're not, approving the expenditures or saying it's prudent or reasonable or anything at this point. But I think we're just trying to get a handle on what's being filed. Is it sufficient? Is it too little? Is it too much? Exactly what's going on. And I anticipate that we'll probably also be looking at additional types of reporting that the various utilities are filing. I just want to put that on the record. That, what I'm saying here also applies, I believe, to the next agenda item as well. So I just want to make that clear to anybody that might be listening and to the utilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belzer. Any more comments or discussion?
Chair Williams,
Commissioner Caston, the floor is yours, sir.
Commissioner Belcher's absolutely right about the newbies, me being one of those.
Commissioner, I'm in that group too, really.
I know that. I didn't take offense at that at all because what you said was absolutely true. And I certainly don't want to make anything more complex or complicated than it needs to be for anyone. That said, if I think in terms of, down the road, whether it, we're going to be talking about rate case or whatever it is somewhere in the future, I guess just for me, I would prefer to have, more information on, okay, what affects these costs, rather than something that happened 2 years ago that I got to look back, or someone tells me, well, the projects we did a year or two ago, they looked reasonable. Again, I don't want to support making things more complicated, but I would like to understand things as best I could before they're done, if possible.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Any other comments on this item, the motion, or the comments made by Vice Chair Belzer? Commissioner Williams, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Commissioner Belzer and Commissioner Caston, thank you. I was leaning toward actually abstaining on this one because I just didn't feel confident, led enough to make a decision regarding it. But I think in the spirit that Commissioner Caston and Belzer have laid out, I'll also be supporting it. I'm interested in geographically how these extensions relate to the service areas that exist, and so just wanted to add a little bit more in the spirit of just learning together and being better prepared when bigger cases do come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Powers, the floor is yours.
just to really kind of clarify, I mean, we operate under a system where we guarantee certain rates of return, or we guarantee certain things to happen. It's just, I feel it's better to know something ahead of time rather than after the fact. And that's part of my motion. It is a learning process.
Thank you, Commissioner Powers. Well, what I would say is I appreciate the motion, and I appreciate all the comments. I think if I understand what Commissioner Belzer is saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, it sounds like you're saying, Vice Chair Belzer, excuse me, that based on what has already been presented, the companies have met the requirement of the reg.
In my opinion, they have.
And so,
And this is for, I mean, I hate to jump ahead, but it's kind of for items 12 and 13 as we talk together.
so the question becomes, is it outside of the lines then, if they have met the requirements of the reg, to ask them to come in for to open up a generic proceeding?
I don't think that it is. I mean, I think that we can, I think we need to be clear I don't know that these generic proceedings are not to, my understanding from the request or the motion is not, they're not to, approve the construction. They're not to, approve any of the costs associated with it. They are to just review what they filed as far as these, and I don't even envision being able to go too deeply into a prudence review or reasonableness review of the cost. Those would follow up, in some regard in the RSAs or in a rate case proceeding. And, I'm looking at it is from the standpoint of, we're getting these reports, and the utilities are required to refile certain reports, and I'm kind of starting to look to see, are all the reports we're requiring, are they all needed? If they're needed, are they sufficient? If they're not sufficient, how should they be changed? If they're not needed, then we need to relieve that burden from the utility. I think ordinarily, this would be something that we could ask about for an ex parte briefing. However, because of where we are with the pandemic, we've been met with reluctance on doing ex parte briefings from the ability of the third party neutral in that to certify, or I'm told they can't certify the ex parte briefing. So we're trying to find a vehicle where we could, if commissioners had questions, could ask, and that's why these generic dockets or proceedings were being requested, is my understanding. Now, if somebody has something different than that, they can say that, but that was my understanding.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belzer. That's my understanding of the motion. I think that the only way to get an answer to a question is to ask the question, and that's why I'm willing to support your motion, Commissioner Powers. I appreciate the reports. I agree that the company complies with the regulation by following the reports, but it just seems like to me that the commission is just looking a little deeper and maybe taking a more pensive approach to how we make our decisions. And so because of that, I also support your motion, Commissioner Powers. All right, if there's not anything else.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Thomas.
I agree with everything that's been said so far, but I guess the other comment that I would have to make is that this is a first-time activity on this type of a filing. And if we go through the process that we're talking about at this point in time, we may determine that this is not something that's necessary to do in the future. And so perhaps, I guess I'm hoping then that we're not setting a precedent that we always have to do this just because we do it this first time. Would that be correct?
Well, I think we have to ask Commissioner Powers that.
As you say, Mr. Chairman, we're neither approving or rejecting or denying anything. We're just trying to learn a process. I mean, a lot of zeros on those numbers to me, and I just like to know. I'd like to learn.
Understood. I didn't hear anything in the motion that would require this to be mandatory. I think this is just the commission operating within the scope of its limited authority to ask a few questions. Vice Chair Belzer?
I haven't heard anything that would make this an annual review or anything. I think it's to understand the filings, this type of filing, where the reviews occur. Are we getting the information that's needed for when it comes up further or further down the road and for recovery in the context of the proper proceedings? So I don't think we're looking to every time that a utility files this report to require them to come in for a proceeding on that letter. I don't get that at all. And I understand you wanting to just make that clear that it's not going to be either annual or every time something's filed.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, if there's no more discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
I want to make 100% sure the motion's been offered.
Commissioner Williams, we can't hear you.
Commissioner Powers? Can you hear me now?
Barely. We barely can hear you.
Huh.
We hear you now.
Commissioner Powers, I just wanted to make sure that I'd heard the motion.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Then I'll admit, I missed it. No, you don't need to repeat it. I'll vote aye.
Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please read the next agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, item number 13, as mentioned, similar to the last item. This is docket number 2012-278G, and this also concerns new natural gas construction projects, and that would be by Piedmont Natural Gas Company.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin,
I move that the commission instruct the clerk's office to set a generic proceeding to address.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
I hate to interrupt you, sir, but we're having some issues with your volume.
Okay, is it too loud?
Got it now?
Not loud enough, but you sound loud and clear now.
All right, is that better?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Thank you. Similar to the motion we just took up, this is a motion for the commission to instruct the clerk's office to set a generic proceeding to address Piedmont Natural Gas file report for calendar year 2020. As we talked about in the last motion, this proceeding will allow the company an opportunity to provide additional details regarding its notice construction projects. It will also allow the commission an opportunity to ask questions of the company regarding those projects. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will move to a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams votes aye.
Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers. Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please call the next agenda item.
Item number 14, docket number 2020-242E. This matter concerns the complainant's motion for discovery.
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer, the floor is yours, ma'am.
thank you. I have a motion. The plaintiff, Mr. McMillian, filed a complaint against Duke Energy Carolinas LLC on October 8th, 2020. Thereafter, on October 15th, 2020, Mr. McMillian filed a motion for discovery. The motion does not indicate whether the motion was served on Duke Energy Carolinas. To the extent that this filing is a motion asking the commission to order discovery, I move that the motion be dismissed. Motions are not the appropriate mechanism for initial discovery request. The regulations governing discovery in commission proceedings are contained in South Carolina Code Annotated Regs 103-832 through 103-835. Specifically, the procedure for seeking discovery through interrogatories or requests for production is governed by South Carolina Code Annotated Regs 103-833. Regulation 103-833B provides in relevant part that any party of record may serve upon other parties or parties of record written interrogatories to be answered by the party served. Likewise, Regulation 103-833C provides in relevant part that any party of record may serve upon other party or parties of record requests for production of documents and things to be answered by the party served. Both subsections require copies of the interrogatories or request for production served to be filed with the chief clerk of the commission. The regulation does not require a motion for serving interrogatories or requests for productions, and there's no reason in this matter to deviate from the procedures set forth in the regulation. So move.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belzer. Hearing Vice Chair Belzer's motion, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin?
I would like to address Mr. McMillan if he's listening. These type proceedings are go a lot easier when a party has an attorney of record who's familiar with our regulations and the rules. And to the extent that he plans to pursue this, I would encourage him to seek an attorney licensed to practice in South Carolina who practices in this area, is familiar with our rules and regulations. I'm going to vote for the motion, but if he continues to file these pro se motions to represent himself, it's really not going to work out for him. He needs to get a lawyer, and I hope they will, so that he can have his claim heard on the merits. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Urban. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams votes aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye on the motion.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Urban.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers. Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please call the next agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the utilities agenda. Turning to our transportation agenda, items number 1 through 4 are new applications that can be taken together. Item number 1, docket number 2020-251T, Rapid Medical Transport, LLC. Item 2, docket 2020-250T, CW Transportation, LLC. Item 3, docket 2020-253T, Act Medical Transport Services, LLC. And item number 4, docket number 2020-254T, RFJ and Company, LLC, doing business as Quality Care Transportation.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams,
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission approve the new application in items 1 through 4 as listed by Mr. Mingus.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams votes aye on the motions.
Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Urban.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please call the next agenda item.
Chairman, that concludes today's agenda.
Thank you, Attorney Minges. This business meeting is adjourned.